Look closely at this document. This is the Magna Carta. For centuries, historians have pointed to this 1215 British charter as a starting point for human rights and democratic governance. But trace history back 6 decades earlier to the 1150s, and we find a fully operational, highly organized socio-spiritual parliament already functioning in the city of Kalyana, Karnataka. The 12th century was an era defined by centralized power. Dictatorial monarchs held total authority, caste divisions decided a person's worth at birth, and religious gatekeepers ensured the marginalized had no voice in how they were governed. Lord Basavanna, who served as a prime minister in the region, looked for an alternative to this elitist status quo. He understood that lasting social reform required an entirely new, structurally equal institution. He established an assembly called the Anubhava Mantapa. The entire organization was designed with a specific goal: to remove the influence of birthright and guarantee a voice to the poorest and most marginalized citizens. This was a gathering space designed to merge diverse social classes into a single dialogue. By bringing everyone onto the same floor, Basavanna and the Sharanas established a structural framework intended to support collective social welfare. This photograph shows the traditional British parliamentary chamber, divided into the House of Lords and Commons. Historically, legislature architecture physically separated the elite from commoners. Basavanna implemented a unicameral, or single-chamber, system. Wealth and ancestry were irrelevant for admission to the Anubhava Mantapa. A citizen only needed to prove 2 things: moral conduct and a commitment to daily, honest physical labor, known as kayaka. The floor layout enforced proximity. Mahadeva Bhupama, the king of Kashmir, renounced his throne to cut wood. He sat on the exact same physical level, on the exact same woven mat, right next to a marginalized local cobbler named Madara Chennaya. To counter the era's severe VIP culture, the assembly mandated linguistic equality. No matter a person's background, every member addressed others with the title of Aya, meaning sir or brother. They wrote, "Saying Aya is heaven, saying Elavo is hell." At the head of the assembly sat the Shunya Pita, the seat of nothingness. Despite being founder and prime minister, Basavanna did not take the presidency. The assembly instead elected Alama Prabhu, chosen for his detachment and extensive knowledge. Before a single law was debated, the Anubhava Mantapa's seating arrangements and leadership choices removed traditional visual hierarchies and established a standard of social equity. To keep these early parliamentarians focused on their duties, Basavanna laid down the Sapta Sutras. This code of 7 commandments strictly prohibited stealing, killing, lying, and mocking others, establishing an ethical baseline for every member. In this photograph, we see the 20th century struggle for women's voting rights in the West. 8 centuries before these marches, over 33 female scholars sat in the Anubhava Mantapa, debating philosophy, economics, and bodily autonomy as equals to men. This flowchart illustrates their economic policy, called dasoha. Members sustained themselves solely through their manual labor and voluntarily pooled any excess wealth. By distributing it evenly, the assembly systematically prevented individuals from hoarding capital. Religion and law were historically recorded in Sanskrit, a language reserved for a specific elite. The Sharanas chose instead to debate and record all their laws in the common vernacular of Kannada, making knowledge accessible to the local population. Barbers, boatmen, washermen, and cobblers documented their debates and socio-economic resolutions in short poems called vachanas, carving them directly into palm leaves. Through this participatory method, the working class authored what became a written, collective social constitution. The assembly's push for social justice eventually collided with the dictatorial monarchy. To challenge the caste system, the Sharana solemnized an inter-caste marriage between the families of Madhuvarasa, a Brahmin, and Haraleya, a Dalit. King Bijala responded with executions. In response, Basavanna stepped down from his prime ministerial post and left the city in an act of nonviolent civil disobedience. Shortly after his departure, the king's military forces physically besieged the Anubhava Mantapa, violently destroying the peaceful institution. The Sharanas did not fight for a physical throne. Instead, they strapped bundles of their palm leaf constitution to their backs and fled deep into the forests toward Ulavi to protect the written ideas. This modern sculpture features the word fraternity. 8 centuries before democratic republics drafted their preambles, Basavanna wrote, "Do not ask who he is, say he is ours." This became a guiding principle for universal humanism. Basavanna wrote, "Things standing shall fall, but the moving ever shall stay." While physical structures are temporary, the organizational logic of the Sharanas outlived its own destruction to influence future generations.